So we go to shift in the AD curve. Shift in the AD curve. So there's shift. Here I go. The AD curve shows the relationship between the price level and the equilibrium level of real income and output. Shift in the AD curve will occur if there is a change in any other relative variable apart from the price level. So we have a shift in aggregate demand curve if other factors change, variable factors change except price. Price remains constant. We have movement because price is changeable, and other factors remain constant. Here we have shift in aggregate demand curve, either to the right or to the left, because other variable factors, such as maybe unemployment rate, unemployment rate, interest rate, other factors changes except price. That's why we have movement, shift in the AD curve. So we're gonna start. So shift in the AD curve will occur if there's other changes in the variable. So there's a shift in the AD curve from AD1 to AD2. Here, price remains constant. Price does not change, but other factors have changed. Maybe government spending increases or whatever it is. So that will bring about a change in the aggregate demand curve, a rightward shift or a leftward shift. But at this point, price remains constant. So we're going to start. So we start with the first component. So the first component of national expenditure is consumption. So here for consumption, I wrote an increase in consumption, investment, and government spending or net export will bring about a rightward shift in the aggregate demand curve from AD1 to AD2. So if consumption is increasing, the AD curve will shift rightward from AD1 to AD2, the Y1 to Y2. If investment is increasing AD1 to AD2, the level of income will increase from Y1 to Y2. And government spending, if it increases too, it will shift from AD1 to AD2. But for price, it brings about contraction and expansion. So what are the reasons for the shift in the AD curve on expenditure? Number one, for consumption. So I wrote for consumption, a number of factors might increase consumption spending at any given level of price. For example, a fall in unemployment rate. If there's a fall in unemployment rate, it simply means if there's a fall in unemployment rate, it simply means that people will not be afraid to lose their job because there's much job available, and that might make them to spend more. So demand within the economy would increase because the level of income has increased. As soon as unemployment reduces, level of income will rise. That increases consumption within the economy. Then the AD curve will shift rightward from AD1 to AD2 because the level of income has increased. Do you get the first point there? Yes. The central bank, another point is about the central bank. If the central bank might reduce interest rate. If interest rate reduces, it means households will be able to borrow more than they used to borrow, and that increases their level of income, which means they can buy more. Consumption would increase. Do you get that point there? Yes. So now I wrote, the central bank may reduce interest rate, which encourages borrowing. A substantial rise in stock. Okay, that's about borrowing. Then a substantial rise in the stock market. If share prices increases, it means your wealth increases. That might give you more confidence and boosts to buy. The demand within the economy would increase. So a rise in stock market price means people have more income. Then as a result of that, the aggregate demand would increase in the economy, shifting the aggregate demand curve rightward from AD1 to AD2. Do you get that point there? Yes. A fall in income tax is another point that could increase consumption. If income tax reduces, it means disposable income would increase. Yes or no? Yes. And if disposable income increases, spending would increase in the economy, shifting the AD curve rightward from AD1 to AD2. That's all about consumption. Is it clear? Yes. It takes us to investment. For investment, I wrote, one factor that would increase investment spending is an increase in business confidence. So if business finds the confidence, that boost, this could come as a result of the economy growing rapidly. If the economy is growing rapidly, it means there's employment, there's income level increasing, demand is increasing. Businesses might find confidence in this by investing more in capital goods. So if they invest more in capital goods, that means demand will increase. That's the point there. Do you get it? Yes. But that's the first point there. If the economy is growing rapidly, businesses, firms would want to invest more to meet up with the growing demand. Another point is a fall in interest rate. As it affects consumers, it affects producers too. A fall in interest rate would increase borrowing for firms. That means they can borrow more for investment. Did you get it? So why would they be able to borrow more for investment? They'll be able to borrow more for investment because the amount they have to spend, or the profit they make from investment would increase rather than reducing. That's another point that will bring about a shift in the AD curve through investment. Then, what else do I have here? Okay, that's all about investment. Any question about investment?
No.
Good. Have this place. Then that takes us to government spending. Are you there?
Yes.
For government spending, it still depends on government of the day. So if a new government is coming in, that means automatically it has its own agenda. It might want to prove that the new dispensation is better than the old dispensation, that they might increase spending. So I wrote, government spending can change automatically because of previous government spending commitments. A rise in government spending with no changes in taxation will lead to a fall in budget surplus or a rise in its deficit. Now look at it. If government is increasing spending without increasing taxation, it means the aggregate demand would increase because prices will become affordable. But government is spending from its budget. It might bring about a low or reduced surplus because the government of the country might be running on surplus budget, which is good. But now government is spending, it's not receiving. So that surplus budget would reduce. Or it might be in a balanced budget. Now an increase now will bring about deficit, which is not good. Okay. So for government spending, like I said earlier, government might be running in a balanced budget. If it's running in a balanced budget, as long as it increases its spending, then it goes to deficit. That's why I said, a rise in government spending with no change in taxation will bring about reduction in budget surplus or a deficit. Because if the government of the country is running a balanced budget, that means export is equal to import. Expenditure is the same as revenue, If expenditure is the same as revenue, that is balanced budget. If revenue is greater than expenditure, that is surplus budget. So now that government is spending more, revenue would fall. So that means surplus would reduce. And if the government is running on a balanced budget, which means revenue is the same as expenditure. If revenue is the same as expenditure, now spending is increasing, expenses are increasing, then there's deficit. Do you understand? So government has to also put in mind that spending without changes in taxation, because that's where they get the money from, without changes in taxation might bring about deficit, but aggregate demand will increase. So the bottom line here is that aggregate demand will increase if government increases its spending, and if government reduces its spending without reducing taxes, aggregate demand will still remain. It will reduce deficit. Is it clear? So that takes us to exports and imports. For export, a rise in exchange rates for export and import, that's international trade, right? So we need exchange rate. Yes or no? Because international trade is trade between countries. Then we need a unique method of payment. That takes us to exchange rate, right? Good. So a rise in exchange rate is likely to lower exports because as soon as exchange rate increases, firms, exporting countries will become less internationally competitive, which means they won't be able to sell as they used to sell. On the other hand, import prices become cheaper for domestic consumers. They'll be able to do more imports than exports. Do you get the point here? However, because it's still about export and import, if there's improvements through the quality of goods produced in that country, irrespective of what the price is, they might still have to buy from that country. So export might also increase if there's improvement in the quality of manufactured goods or there's innovation. This will increase exportation, bringing about a rightward shift in the aggregate demand curve. But if import is increasing, that means there's going to be a leftward shift because export minus import is lower. Do you understand the point there? So that's about it. Then they have important notes, which I already said, but I'm going to say it again. The important notes is this: price changes will bring about movement along the aggregate demand curve, either contraction or expansion. And other variable factors will bring about shift in the aggregate demand curve to the right or to the left. Clear? Then the difference between levels and changes. Are you there?
Yes.
Levels is considered as absolute change. We call it levels. It means absolute change from here down here. So for absolute change, it brings about reduction in the quantity of goods or increase in quantity of goods. But change rate is different. It might be positive, it might be negative. If it is positive, that means it's still good. If it is negative, that means it's reducing. So you have to understand the difference between absolute change and the rate of change. Is it clear?
Yes.
Any question about it?
No.
So that ends aggregate demand curve and aggregate demand curve. Yes. Thank you.